Captain Jake Sullivan stood on the bridge of the USS Defiance, watching the stars through the main window. The ship was big and strong, with thick armor and powerful weapons. It moved slowly through space, keeping watch over the human colonies. On the edge of known space, Jake had been a captain for 10 years, and he had never seen anything like what was coming. The alarm rang loud and sharp. Jake turned to his communications officer, a young woman named Linda Price. Her face was white, with fear as she looked at her screen. "Captain, we have a message coming in from Earth," Linda said. Her voice shook a little. "It's marked as top secret and urgent." Jake walked over to her station. "Put it through to my ready room. And Linda, make sure no one else hears this." In his small office behind the bridge, Jake watched the message play on his personal screen. Admiral Lisa Brooks appeared, her gray hair pulled back tight and her face serious. She was the best military leader Earth had, and Jake respected her more than anyone else. "Captain Sullivan," Admiral Brooks began, "Earth has received a message from an alien race called the Corvan Empire. They want to meet with us. The meeting is happening in 3 days at the neutral station near Alpha Centauri. You are ordered to attend as our military representative." Jake felt his stomach drop. First contact with aliens was supposed to be a good thing, something humans had dreamed about for hundreds of years. But Admiral Brooks looked worried, and that made Jake worried too. 3 days later, Jake sat in a small room on the space station. Across from him sat 3 aliens that looked like giant lizards walking on 2 legs. They wore dark metal armor and had weapons at their sides. The biggest one, who called himself War Commander Zethkar, did all the talking. "Humans," Zethkar said in perfect English, "your race is new to space. You have built colonies on 12 worlds in the past 50 years. This is impressive for such a young species." Jake said nothing. He had been told to listen first and speak only when asked direct questions. However, Zethkar continued, "You have entered space that belongs to the Corvan Empire. We have ruled this part of the galaxy for 300 years. Many species have joined us. They give us tribute and follow our laws. In return, we protect them." The alien leader leaned forward. His yellow eyes stared at Jake with cold interest. "We offer humanity the same deal. Give us 6 of your 12 colonies. Pay us tribute every year. Follow our laws. If you do this, we will let you keep the other 6 colonies and protect you from other threats." Jake felt anger rise in his chest, but he kept his face calm. "And if we refuse?" Zethkar smiled, showing sharp teeth. "Then we will take all your colonies by force. We will destroy your fleets. We will make your people slaves. You have 1 week to decide." The meeting ended quickly after that. Jake returned to his ship and sent a message to Earth right away. Then he waited while the message traveled through space at light speed. On Earth, Admiral Brooks sat in an underground room deep beneath the capital city. The room was full of screens showing star maps and fleet positions. President Bobby Martinez was there too, along with the top military commanders and scientists. "How many ships do they have?" President Martinez asked. "Our scouts report at least 3,000 warships," Admiral Brooks answered. "Their weapons are better than ours. Their armor is stronger. Their shields can stop our best missiles." General Kevin Thompson, head of the Army, looked at the numbers on his screen. "We have maybe 500 ships that can fight in space. Most of them are small patrol boats. We have 12 big battleships like the Defiance. What about our colonies?" President Martinez asked. "How many people would we lose if we gave up 6 worlds?" "About 40 million people," Admiral Brooks said quietly. "Families who left Earth to build new lives. Farmers, miners, scientists. All of them would become slaves to the Corvans." The room was quiet for a long time. Everyone knew the math. Humanity could not win a war against the Corvan Empire. The smart thing to do was to make a deal. Give up half to save half. Dr. Helen Carter, the government's top alien expert, spoke up. We've studied the message from the Corvans. They've done this before. They find a weak species and make them choose between slavery and death. Every species they've met has chosen slavery. Every species? President Martinez asked. Every single one, Dr. Carter confirmed. They expect us to be scared. They expect us to beg for mercy. They expect us to be grateful for the chance to serve them. President Martinez stood up and walked to the big star map on the wall. He stared at the 12 human colonies, each one marked with a blue dot. 40 million people on 6 worlds. 40 million more on the other 6. Admiral Brooks, he said finally, what happens if we fight and lose? Everyone dies, she answered. Men, women, children. All 80 million colonists. Maybe Earth too. And if we surrender? 40 million people become slaves. The other 40 million stay free, but live under Corvan rule. They'll never be truly free again. President Martinez turned back to face the room. So our choices are slavery or death. Those are the only choices the Corvans are giving us. Admiral Brooks agreed. The president was quiet for another minute. Then he smiled, but it wasn't a happy smile. It was the smile of a man who had made a hard decision. Send a message to Captain Sullivan, President Martinez said. Tell him to arrange another meeting with the Corvans. Tell them we have an answer to their ultimatum. What should the answer be, sir? Admiral Brooks asked. President Martinez looked at the star map again, at the 12 blue dots representing humanity's future among the stars, at the hopes and dreams of 80 million people who had left Earth to build something new. Tell them, he said slowly, that humanity chooses a third option. Tell them that if they want our worlds, they can come and take them. But they better bring everything they have, because we're not giving up without a fight. Admiral Brooks stared at the president. Sir, we can't win this war. Maybe not, President Martinez said. But we can make them pay for every inch. We can show them that humans don't bow down to anyone. We can teach them that some things are worth dying for. 2 days later, Captain Jake Sullivan sat across from War Commander Zethkar again. This time, the alien leader looked relaxed and confident. He expected to hear humanity's surrender. We have considered your offer, Jake said in a calm voice. Earth's government has sent me to deliver our official response. Zethkar leaned back in his chair. And what is your response, human? Jake looked the alien commander straight in the eyes. Come and take them. For the first time since the meetings began, Zethkar looked surprised. Excuse me? You heard me, Jake said, standing up. If you want our colonies, come and take them. But you should know something about humans first. We don't negotiate with bullies. We don't bow to threats. And we sure as hell don't give up what's ours without a fight. Jake walked toward the door, then stopped and looked back. Oh, and Zethkar? You might want to bring extra ships. You're going to need them. As Jake left the room, he could hear Zethkar talking to his officers in their own language. The alien voices sounded angry and confused. They had never heard a response like that before. Back on the Defiance, Jake sent a message to Admiral Brooks. The message was short. It's done. They know where we stand. War is coming. Across human space, the colonial militias began preparing for the fight of their lives. They cleaned their weapons, said goodbye to their families, and got ready to show the galaxy what humans were made of. The Corvans had given humanity a choice between slavery and death, but humanity had chosen something else entirely. They had chosen to fight, and they were about to teach the galaxy that some species would rather die free than live as slaves. War Commander Zethkar stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Corvin Might, watching the human colony world of New Texas grow larger on the main screen. The planet was small and mostly covered in farms and mining operations. It should be easy to take. How many human ships are defending the planet? Zethkar asked his tactical officer. 23 ships, Commander. Most are small patrol boats. They have 3 larger ships that might cause trouble, but nothing we cannot handle. Zethkar nodded. He had brought 60 ships to attack this one world. It was more than enough. The humans would see the size of his fleet and surrender quickly. Then he could move on to the next world. Send them a message, Zethkar ordered. Tell them they have 1 hour to surrender. If they give up now, we will not harm the civilians. The message was sent, but the human response came back in just 5 minutes. It was short and rude. Go to hell. Zethkar felt his anger rise. These humans did not understand their place. They needed to be taught a lesson. Begin the attack. Destroy their ships, but leave the planet alone. We want the colonists alive to work for us. The Corvin fleet moved forward in perfect formation. Their ships were sleek and deadly, with energy weapons that could cut through most armor. Their shields glowed blue around each ship, protecting them from enemy fire. Captain Amy Foster commanded the human defense from the orbital station above. New Texas. She was a small woman with short brown hair and tired eyes. She had been awake for 3 days straight, preparing for this moment. Enemy ships coming in fast, her radar operator called out. They're staying in formation, just like the training videos said they would. Amy nodded. The humans had studied every piece of information they could find about Carvan military tactics. The aliens were predictable. They followed the same patterns in every battle. That was going to be their weakness. All ships, this is Foster, Amy said into her radio. Remember the plan. We're not trying to win a fair fight. We're trying to hurt them as much as possible before they take the planet. The Corvin ships opened. Fire first. Their blue energy beams reached across space and hit the human patrol boats. The small human ships exploded quickly, their armor no match for Corvin weapons. In the first 5 minutes, half the human fleet was destroyed. But then something happened that Zethkar had never seen before. Instead of retreating or surrendering, the surviving human ships did something crazy. They flew straight at the Corvin fleet as fast as they could go. What are they doing? Zethkar asked his officers. It looks like they're trying to ram us. Commander, the tactical officer replied. But that's impossible. No military force would waste ships like that. The first human ship to reach the Corvin fleet was a small patrol boat called the Texas Star. Its captain, a young man named Rick Barnes, had loaded his ship with every explosive they had. As the ship flew toward the Corvin cruiser Wind of Victory, Rick and his crew jumped into escape pods. The Texas Star hit the Corvin ship at full speed. The explosion tore a huge hole in the side of the cruiser. The Wind of Victory's shields flickered and died. Air rushed out of the ship through the hole, and the cruiser began to spin out of control. Impossible, Zethkar whispered. They sacrificed an entire ship just to damage one of ours. But the humans were not done. 3 more patrol boats followed the same pattern. Their crews escaped in pods, while the ships themselves became giant bombs. 2 more Corvin ships were badly damaged. 1 was destroyed completely. Commander, the tactical officer said, his voice shaking. They're using civilian ships, too. Zethkar looked at the screen and saw something that made his blood run cold. Human cargo ships and mining vessels were flying toward his fleet. But these ships were different. They had been changed. Metal plates covered their sides. Strange devices were attached to their engines. The first cargo ship to reach the Corvin fleet was the new Texas hauler. It was a big, slow ship that normally carried wheat and corn to other colonies. But now it was loaded with nuclear explosives. The ship's captain, an old man named Pete Jackson, stayed at the controls until the last second. When the new Texas hauler exploded, it took out 2 Corvin destroyers and damaged 3 more. The explosion was so bright that it could be seen from the planet's surface. "They're using their own civilian ships as weapons," Zethkar said. "This is not warfare. This is madness." But the humans had more surprises. Captain Amy Foster had been working with the colony's engineers for months. They had turned the mining equipment into weapons. Giant drilling machines had been modified to fire massive steel rods at enemy ships. "Fire the railguns," Amy ordered. The railguns were not pretty weapons. They were just big magnetic coils that could throw chunks of metal very fast. But they worked. The steel rods punched through Corvin shields like they were made of paper. One rod hit the Corvin ship Eternal Glory right in the engine section. The ship's power died instantly. Another rod hit the bridge of the ship's Stormbringer. The Corvin captain and his officers were killed instantly. Zethkar watched in horror as his perfectly organized fleet was torn apart by these crude human weapons. The humans did not fight like civilized beings. They fought like wild animals, using anything they could find as a weapon. "Commander," his communications officer called out, "the humans are broadcasting something on all frequencies." "What are they saying?" "It's a message from their orbital station. The commander is talking to her own people." Zethkar listened to the human transmission. Captain Amy Foster's voice was calm and steady, even though her forces were being destroyed. "This is Foster to all new Texas ships," she said. "We knew this day would come. We knew we couldn't win. But we can show these aliens what humans are made of. Every ship you take out is one less ship that can attack Earth. Every minute you keep fighting is another minute for our families, too." Escape. The transmission continued. "Remember, we're not just fighting for New Texas. We're fighting for every human colony. We're fighting for the right to be free. So make every shot count. Make every sacrifice mean something." Zethkar ordered the transmission to be cut off, but it was too late. His officers had heard it. They had seen how the humans fought. These were not soldiers following orders. These were people who believed they were fighting for something more important than their own lives. The battle continued for 6 more hours. The humans had no chance of winning, but they made the Corvins pay for every inch of space. When the last human ship was destroyed, Zethkar counted his losses. 15 Corvin ships were gone. 20 more were badly damaged. Nearly 2,000 Corvin soldiers were dead. "How many humans did we kill?" Zethkar asked. "About 300, Commander," the tactical officer replied. "Most of their crews escaped in pods before their ships were destroyed." Zethkar stared at the numbers. His forces had killed 300 humans and lost 2,000 of his own people. This was not how wars were supposed to work. "Commander," the communications officer said, "we're getting a message from the planet. The human colonists want to talk." Zethkar smiled for the first time since the battle began. Finally, the humans were ready to surrender. "Put them through." The face of an older human man appeared on the screen. He looked tired, but not defeated. "This is Governor Matt Wilson of New Texas. I have a message for the Corvin commander." "I am War Commander Zethkar. Are you ready to surrender?" Governor Wilson shook his head. "No. I'm calling to tell you that we've activated the planet's self-destruct system. You have 30 minutes to get your ships away from here before we blow up everything." Zethkar felt his heart skip a beat. "You're bluffing." "No species would. Destroy their own planet." "We're not destroying the planet," Wilson said calmly. "We're destroying everything humans built here. The mines, the farms, the cities. All of it. If you want this world, you can have it." But you'll get nothing useful from it. The transmission ended. Zethkar S officers looked at him with fear in their eyes. They had never seen anything like this before. The humans were willing to destroy their own homes, rather than let the Corvins have them. Commander, a sensor officer called out, I'm detecting nuclear explosions on the planet's surface. They're actually doing it. Zethkar watched as the lights of human cities went dark one by one. The humans were keeping their promise. They were destroying everything rather than let it fall into Corvin hands. Move the fleet to a safe distance. Zethkar ordered. We'll wait for the explosions to stop, then send down troops to see what's left. But even as his ships moved away from the planet, Zethkar knew that something had changed. The humans did not fight like any other species the Corvins had conquered. They did not care about their own lives. They did not care about their own property. They only cared about one thing, making sure the Corvins paid a price for every victory. 3 days later, Zethkar stood on the surface of New Texas. The planet was a wasteland. The humans had destroyed everything of value. The mines were collapsed. The farms were burned. The cities were empty ruins. What did we gain from this victory? Zethkar asked his aide. A dead planet, Commander, and the knowledge that the humans will never surrender. Zethkar looked up at the stars where the other human colonies waited. 11 more worlds to conquer. If each battle was like this one, how many Corvin ships would be left when the war was over? For the first time in his long military career, War Commander Zethkar was angry. The battle for New Texas had cost him too many ships and too many soldiers. But he was not worried yet. The humans had fought hard, but they had still lost. Now he would show them what happened when they refused to surrender. We will attack 3 human colonies at the same time, Zethkar told his officers. Green Valley, Iron Mountain, and New California. We will split our fleet into 3 groups. Each group will have enough ships to destroy the human defenses quickly. His tactical officer looked worried. Commander, is it wise to split our forces? The humans fight in unexpected ways. Zethkar slammed his fist on the table. They are still just humans. They have weak ships and primitive weapons. We lost ships at New Texas because we were not prepared for their tricks. Now we know what to expect. The Corvin fleet divided into 3 groups. Each group had about 600 ships. It should be more than enough to crush any human resistance. The attacks would begin at the same time, so the humans could not send help to each other. On the farming world of Green Valley, Colonel Steve Murphy stood in the command center of the Colonial Defense Force. He was a big man with gray hair and scars on his face from an old mining accident. He had been a soldier on Earth before coming to Green Valley to grow food for other colonies. How many ships are coming? Colonel Murphy asked his communications. Officer, about 600, sir. They'll be here in 2 hours. Colonel Murphy nodded. He had been expecting this. After what happened at New Texas, he knew the Corvins would come for Green Valley next. The planet grew food for 5 other human colonies. If it fell, millions of people would go hungry. Send a message to all the farms, Murphy ordered. Tell them to start the harvest protocol. We're going to give these aliens a meal they'll never forget. Green Valley was different from New Texas. It was covered in huge farms that grew wheat, corn, and vegetables. The planet fed millions of people across human space. But Colonel Murphy and his people had spent months preparing for this day. When the Corvin fleet arrived, they found the usual small force of human ships waiting for them. The humans had maybe 30 ships, mostly patrol boats, and converted cargo vessels. The Corvins destroyed them easily, just like they had at New Texas. Land the troops, the Corvin ground commander ordered. Take the farms intact. We need the food production to continue. But when the Corvin soldiers landed on Green Valley, they found that the farms were empty. The humans had evacuated all the farmers and their families. The fields were still full of crops, but there were no people to harvest them. "This is easy," the Corvin commander said to his troops. "We'll just use our own workers to bring in the crops." But the humans had left them a surprise. The crops had been treated with something that made them look normal, but was actually deadly to Corvins. The first Corvin soldiers to eat the corn died within hours. Their bodies could not handle the chemicals the humans had used. "The food is poisoned," the Corvin medic reported. "It's harmless to humans, but it kills us." The Corvin commander was furious. "Search every building. Find the humans who did this." But the humans were not hiding in the buildings. They were hiding in the vast tunnel system under the farms. Colonel Murphy had spent months digging these tunnels with mining equipment. Now they were full of human fighters with weapons and explosives. The Corvin soldiers walked through the empty farms, looking for humans to capture. But the humans were watching them from hidden cameras. When groups of Corvin soldiers got close to the tunnel entrances, the humans would attack. A squad of Corvin soldiers entered a barn to search it. They never came out. Hidden explosive devices killed them all. Another group of soldiers went to check a farmhouse. Human fighters burst out of the ground and attacked them with automatic weapons. "We're not fighting an army," the Corvin commander reported to his ships. "We're fighting ghosts. They attack and then disappear into the ground." But the humans had more surprises. Dr. Helen Carter, the colony's chief scientist, had been working on something special. She had studied the Corvin bodies from New Texas and found a weakness in their biology. "Their immune systems are different from ours," Dr. Carter explained to Colonel Murphy over the radio. "I've created a virus that only affects them. It spreads through the air and makes them very sick." "How sick?" Murphy asked. "Dead sick," Dr. Carter replied. "The virus was released into the air above the farms. The Corvin soldiers breathed it in without knowing. Within days, they started getting sick. Their skin turned strange colors. They had trouble breathing. Many of them died. We need to evacuate the planet," the Corvin commander told his fleet. "The humans have turned the entire world into a biological weapon." But the humans were not done. As the Corvin ships prepared to leave, human fighters emerged from the tunnels. They were not trying to fight the ships. They were trying to capture them. Lieutenant Commander Nancy Webb led a team of human fighters to the main Corvin landing site. They had been watching the aliens for days, learning how their ships worked. Now they were going to steal some of them. "Remember," Nancy told her team, "we need these ships in one piece. Kill the crews, but don't damage the ships." The human fighters attacked the Corvin landing site at night. They used poison gas that only affected Corvins. The alien soldiers died quickly, but their ships were not damaged. Within hours, the humans had captured 6 Corvin ships. "Get these ships off the planet," Nancy ordered. "Take them to the hidden base on the moon. Our engineers need to study them." The same pattern was repeated on Iron Mountain and New California. The humans could not win the battles, but they made the Corvins pay a terrible price for each victory. More importantly, they captured Corvin ships and equipment. On Iron Mountain, the humans turned the mining tunnels into a maze of death traps. Corvin soldiers went into the tunnels and never came out. The few who survived told stories of humans who fought like demons, using the darkness and the tunnels to their advantage. On New California, the humans used the planet's storms as weapons. They had equipment that could make the storms stronger and direct them at Corvin ships. 3 Corvin cruisers were destroyed by lightning strikes that the humans had somehow controlled. Back on the Corvin flagship, Zethkar looked at the reports from all 3 battles. His forces had won all 3 planets, but the cost was enormous. Nearly a third of his fleet was gone. Thousands of his soldiers were dead, and the humans had captured dozens of Corvan ships. "Commander," his intelligence officer reported, "we're getting strange signals from the outer system. It looks like the humans are using our own ships." Zethkar felt his blood run cold. "What do you mean?" "The captured ships are transmitting Corvan military codes. The humans are learning how our technology works. They're copying our weapons and shields." This was worse than Zethkar had imagined. Not only were the humans refusing to surrender, they were actually getting stronger with each battle. They were learning from every fight, adapting their tactics, and stealing Corvan technology. "Sir," the communications officer called out, "we're getting a message from the High Command. They want to know why the conquest is taking so long." Zethkar knew what he had to tell them, but he did not want to say it. He had been a war commander for 30 years. He had conquered dozens of species, but he had never fought an enemy like the humans. "Tell the High Command that the humans are not like other species," Zethkar said finally. "They do not fight to win. They fight to hurt us. Every battle makes them stronger and us weaker." The communications officer looked confused. "Should I really send that message, Commander?" Zethkar thought about it. The truth was that he was starting to fear the humans. They fought without honor, without rules, without any regard for their own lives. They turned their own planets into weapons. They used diseases and poisons like tools of war. They stole enemy ships and learned to use them. "Send this message," Zethkar said. "Tell the High Command that we need more ships, many more ships. The humans are not going to surrender, and each battle costs us more than we can afford." But even as he sent the message, Zethkar wondered if more ships would be enough. The humans seemed to have an endless supply of tricks and traps. Every time the Corvans thought they understood human tactics, the humans would do something new and unexpected. The planet New Hope, Captain Paul Johnson received a message from Earth. The Corvans were coming for his colony next. They had 1,000 ships this time, and they were bringing troops to occupy the planet permanently. "What are our orders?" His first officer asked. Captain Johnson looked at the message from Admiral Brooks. The orders were simple. "Make them pay. Prepare the self-destruct charges," Johnson ordered. "If we can't keep our colony, we'll make sure the Corvans can't use it either." The first officer looked shocked. "Sir, there are 50,000 people on this planet. Are we really going to destroy everything?" "We're going to evacuate everyone we can," Johnson said. "But if the Corvans want this world, they're going to get nothing but ashes." As the evacuation ships left New Hope, Captain Johnson stood on the bridge of the colony ship. He watched the Corvan fleet approach and smiled grimly. The aliens thought they were winning this war, but they were wrong. Every battle was teaching humanity how to fight better. Every captured ship was making the human fleet stronger. The war was far from over. The war had been going on for over a year now. War Commander Zethkar sat in his command chair, staring at the reports from the latest battles. The numbers were getting worse every month. The Corvan Empire had lost nearly half of its fleet, and the humans were still fighting. "Commander," his aide said quietly, "the High Command is asking for another status report." Zethkar closed his eyes. He knew what the High Command wanted to hear. They wanted to hear that the humans were almost defeated, that victory was close. But that was not the truth. "Tell them the truth," Zethkar said. "Tell them that we control 8 human colonies, but we cannot hold them. Tell them that the humans attack us every day from hidden bases. Tell them that we are losing more ships than we can replace." The aide looked worried. "Sir, the High Command will not be happy with that report." "The High Command is not here," Zethkar replied. "They do not see what these humans are capable of. They do not understand that this is not a normal war." On Earth, Admiral Lisa Brooks stood in the war room, looking at the latest intelligence reports. The news was both good and bad. The Corvins controlled most of the human colonies, but they were having trouble keeping them. Human resistance fighters were making their lives miserable. "What's the status of Project Hammer?" Admiral Brooks asked. General Kevin Thompson. "Almost ready," Thompson replied. "We've converted 50 asteroid mining ships into kinetic weapons. Each one is loaded with nuclear engines and guidance systems. When we fire them, they'll hit their targets at 15% of light speed." Admiral Brooks nodded. Project Hammer was humanity's secret weapon. The idea was simple but terrifying. Take the huge ships used for mining asteroids, load them with nuclear engines, and fire them at enemy fleets like giant bullets. At such high speeds, the impact would be devastating. "What about the captured Corvin ships?" Admiral Brooks asked. "We've learned a lot from them," Dr. Helen Carter reported. "Their shields work differently than ours, but we've figured out how to copy them. We've also learned how their faster-than-light engines work. We can build ships that are just as fast as theirs now." This was the key to humanity's strategy. Every captured Corvin ship taught them something new. Human engineers were quick learners, and they were not afraid to try new ideas. The Corvins had advanced technology, but the humans were catching up fast. "There's something else," Dr. Carter continued. "We've been studying Corvin biology. We've found a way to make them afraid." "Afraid?" Admiral Brooks asked. "Pheromones," Dr. Carter explained. "All Corvin soldiers produce fear chemicals when they're scared. We've created artificial versions of these chemicals. When we release them in the air, Corvin soldiers panic and run away." Admiral Brooks smiled. The humans were learning to use every weapon they could find, including the enemy's own biology against them. "Ma'am," the communications officer called out, "we're getting a message from Agent Maria Santos. She's completed her mission behind enemy lines." Maria Santos was Earth's best spy. She had been working behind Corvin lines for months, gathering intelligence and causing trouble. Her latest mission had been to infiltrate a major Corvin base and steal their battle plans. "Put her through," Admiral Brooks ordered. Maria's face appeared on the screen. She looked tired but pleased with herself. "Mission accomplished, Admiral. I've got the Corvin battle plans for the next 6 months, but that's not the best part." "What's the best part?" Admiral Brooks asked. "I've been spreading stories about human super soldiers among the Corvin troops. They think Earth has created genetically modified warriors who can't be killed. Half the Corvin army is afraid to fight us now." Admiral Brooks laughed. The humans were winning a psychological war, as well as a physical one. Every trick, every tactic, every victory was making the Corvins more afraid. "There's more," Maria continued. "I've planted bombs in 3 Corvin supply depots. They'll explode when the Corvin fleets try to refuel. And I've sabotaged their communication systems. They won't be able to coordinate their attacks as well." This was how the humans fought. They did not just attack enemy ships. They attacked enemy supplies, enemy communications, enemy morale. They made the Corvins afraid to eat their own food, afraid to trust their own equipment, afraid to believe their own commanders. On the occupied world of Green Valley, Colonel Steve Murphy led his resistance fighters in another raid against the Corvin occupiers. The aliens had been trying to use the planet's farms for 6 months, but the humans made it impossible. "Remember," Murphy told his fighters, "we're not trying to drive them off the planet. We're trying to make them waste resources. Every soldier they have to use to guard a farm is a soldier they can't use to attack Earth." The human fighters moved through the tunnels they had dug under the farms. They knew every inch of their home world. The Corvin soldiers were strangers. Here, afraid of every shadow, every sound. Murphy's team emerged from a tunnel near a Corvin supply depot. They moved quickly and quietly, placing